Good evening, everyone. This is Ron. Monday evening, a little after 6. We'll go ahead and get started with our session, see if we have any questions. On yesterday, we mainly talked about the incident in Alabama, the Alabama brawl, and looking at it from a spiritual perspective, what that meant, and looking at some of the details of it that some of us pointed out, and what that all meant, and so that was on yesterday. And let's see, Saturday we spoke from First Samuel. So, any questions about anything that uh, may have grabbed your attention, or something that you may be curious about? Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Should we continue to
Okay.
call it a Alabama brawl or give it another label or name? Because to me, I see it was spiritual, and for some reason the name just don't sit right with me. Help me understand, please. Thank you.
What do you feel? I'm curious. I'm not trying to be funny. What do you feel? Because that's I do see what you mean. Uh,
I just think that if we putting things out in the macro, um, it just seemed like the word that we use is brawl. It's it's not changing anything. It's I just feel like we should have another meaning, or not meaning, but a name. That word just don't sit right with me, and maybe it's just me. Um, but it was life changing. A lot of spiritual concepts and a lot of spiritual things took place, activity, and that's why. And I could be wrong. It could be just me. But every time something involves us, it's like a negative connotation. And I just felt that we could have, the name should be something else, although what happened was on that day in the past. But when we say brawl, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Help me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
no, I don't think it's a matter of,
Hey,
of right and wrong.
hey, this is Audrey. I hear you,
Yeah.
Evelyn. Maybe we can call it the Alabama Revelation.
Okay. I see that. Yeah. Because it's uncovering a lot of stuff that happened in Alabama. Um, it's like the South is a cesspool for racial um, activities and all kind of stuff. So yeah, I, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Is there anyone who may not understand what we just talked about? Why that was important? I think just to kind of add this, when Pastor made the connection that some of those guys were from Selma, uh, that was an opportunity to look at, just kind of reflect back, and all the history of the violent activities against our people that has come from that state, and from that area. And as we talk on a weekly basis, and we talk about spirituality of things, uh, we are linking things and bringing them to the present time. So that's what I get from your comment. Uh, we spiritually, we're turning this thing over. It's not just another violent act in a list of so many.
Hey, Ron.
This is
Hey, Ron.
yes, sir.
This is Charles. Some of the people can't get on.
Get on Zoom.
Can't get on Zoom. They say they don't try it and still can't get on.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do now, because Kathy and them, they calling and say they can't get on.
Kathy and Shirley.
Okay. Not sure what to do, Charles. They I don't know if we have an alternative number to use.
Okay. I'm trying to look for the number. See if I can call and tell them try it again.
She said try it again. What's the alternative number?
Hello, everyone. This is Sheldon.
Yes.
I can give an alternative number. However, they will still need to use the same code. But I can give you a moment and give you another number.
If you guys don't mind, hold on, Sheldon. Can we stop the recording for a second till we get it straightened out?
Yes. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Where are we? There we go. Oh, it's recording. Ready when you are, Ron.
Okay. All right then. We just had to restart here, make sure everybody was logged in. But we started off talking about recapping yesterday and talking about the situation that happened in Alabama, the revelation that happened in Alabama. Ellen brought up a question about not being negative about it. So we instead of calling it the brawl, we Audrey suggested the revelation. So we talked about it from a spiritual perspective. So we're going to name it something spiritual and look at it from that perspective and not from something negative. Okay. So any other questions, or some of you all just got in? That's all you've missed. So is there anything else that may have grabbed your attention? Anybody? Okay. If you guys don't mind, then I want to look at something else in 1 Samuel, and I really think this is a very interesting book, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we are here at this time.
Ron,
Yes, ma'am.
were you speaking? Because there was dead air for a little bit.
No, I was just giving everybody a chance to get the 1 Samuel, and I was looking at my notes,
Okay.
looking at something there. Yeah. We started off looking at chapter 8, and let me back up. We started off looking at chapter 15 and verse 23, and because we were looking at witchcraft and what that, how that looks spiritually, how that looked from the scriptures versus what we've always been taught that it meant. So we got a better understanding of that, and maybe when we finish this, we can look at that once again. but it allowed us an opportunity to take a look at Saul. Saul being the first king of Israel. And what we concluded here is, like most of the scripture that we look at, these characters or characteristics are part of all of us. This is who you are. So there is a Samuel in you. There is a Saul in you. There is that part of us that look at other people and other things and say, we want to be like you. We want to be like this nation. We want to be like that. Not recognizing who and where you are and the relationship that you have with the Creator. So started looking at that, and I wanted to kind of pick this up a little bit in chapter 10. And any questions on any of this first before we go any further?
Hey, Ron, I have a question. This is Charles.
Hey, Charles.
How you doing? Before Israel or whatever had Saul got Saul for a king, God was their leader during that time.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to be like other people to have a leader where they can see and touch and talk to. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's the difference that right there?
The difference that I see, and you bring up a good point, Charles. The difference that I see is in us. We are not balanced. We are out of balance, and we struggle even being humans. We struggle animalistic nature and wanting things we want right now, rather than looking internally and seeing who we truly are. As I pointed out to you, when they said when they it is in a time when they were feeling very prideful. They were feeling prideful is the word I'm looking for. I'm trying to see my notes here and see but the thing that really to me is the word king. When they ask for a king, it is a masculine noun. In other words, their masculinity is just judgmental, and this is what I want when I want it. So it wasn't anything to do with spirituality. It wasn't anything really to even do with godliness or searching for self. This was just man being, like I said, just recognizing or thinking that the grass is greener, that every other nation has something that we don't have, and not recognizing or looking internally and seeing what they have that other nations don't have. So when God said they rejected me as king, that is as a masculine and feminine noun. It is king, queen, which means that there is balance, which means that there is a flow, which means that there is an opening or womb or a setting aside so that you can see who you are, so that you continuously grow and you're continuously becoming, because wisdom is no good without understanding. Darkness is no good without the light. So that is the balance that they were lacking. They were only seeing that thing from an external perspective and not paying attention to the enlightenment that they had before them. So I hope, it sounds like I'm talking a lot, but I hope that kind of answers your question.
It did. I need Rev to give an answer on this next one I'm getting ready to ask. It's just like when all of us kept wanted black people to be in the position. They've been just wanting a black president, but still, when they got what they got, things still didn't do them no good for. You understand what I'm saying? They had a black president. They asked for a black president. Then they finally got one, hoping things would be turned around. You know what I'm getting at, y'all.
Yeah. Charles, Pastor may or may not be with us today. So I'm hoping he logs in later, but he may not. Okay. But you bring up a very good point. I really do think this scripture is talking to us. I think this scripture talks to the African and specifically us, this group. Looking at the example that what you have said, one of our mistakes as a people, I guess, and I don't mean this to be offensive to any of us, because all of us know people, family members, or somebody who was really heavily involved in the civil rights. And I think that was a necessary part of our history. However, the aim of the civil rights was for equality. We were looking at being equal. Equal to what? Equal to what? The spiritual part of this is that we did not see, and hopefully we're seeing now. We are the ones that are elevated. We are the ones that are spiritual. We are the ones that have access to, if we choose to, spiritual things, the higher self, the knowledge of God, the understanding of who we are. And what the Creator was saying to us is, don't set anybody aside greater than you. You don't need to worry about who else, or let this nation or this people be your standard. I am your standard. So although the civil rights and a lot of people unfortunately lost their lives, I think the conclusion that we, and I mean we on this phone now, see that the real drive, the real push is for us to understand who we are and not try to be like anybody else. That's not what the Creator has set us aside for. So I hear you, and I was one of the ones who jumped for joy when we had a black president, because I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime. And a lot of the strides that I've seen us make as a nation or as a people, I am very proud of us. But on the spiritual side, I love the fact that we are in the search that we are. And it's not only just a search for us, but it's a search that will elevate all people. But that's where we are. And I hope that kind of sort of addressed what you were saying, Charles. And I please ask anyone else to help me out with that if you have any comments, please.
The only comment I have with that again, Ryan, they were looking to the wrong source during that time. Because during that time, we was always trusting in God in everything, and they just put all the rocks in one basket, and they wouldn't forget it.
Well, even, sorry, I interrupted somebody. What I was going to say though, even that was not a coincidence. See, I think a lot of things happen because they're supposed to happen, and I think all of those things that did happen have led us to where we are today. It seems like they were looking at the wrong source, but Charles, all they've ever known is the wrong source. Christianity was beat over our head. If not, you were put to death. So you were those rocks in the basket was trying to please a God that did not exist, a God that was not ever in place for us. So that was, as I say, part of the foundation, if you will, to have us on this phone now. We've looked at everything, and Lord knows, as a people, we've been searching, but a lot of it has been in vain because we did not have the understanding that hopefully we are gaining now. So again, I asked somebody else to help me or to kind of fill in some of the blanks that, if you will, please.
Ron, this is Barbara. Good evening, everyone. I agree with you. We would not be at this point in our discovery or rediscovery or uncovering of truth were it not for all of those things in our past. Presidents, good, bad, indifferent, who brought us to the realization that you can't put your trust in man. And it doesn't matter the color, because what seemingly, I agree with you. I was ecstatic when we had our first Black president, but it was from a historical perspective because we never had one. But we saw quickly how his hands were tied the same way as many presidents' hands are tied by men who have ulterior motives, who have selfish motives, who have greed in their history and in their background. So the issue is, it showed us that it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Our trust is not in that particular person. It doesn't matter who Tommy Tuberville is as it relates to blocking military appointments. That is not the issue. Those are the distractions that if we let them take us off course, we understand who we are. And we understand that we have to rightly interpret not only the word itself, but we have to rightly interpret what we are shown. Because as you say, lots of people can say negative things, but we have to rightly interpret the balanced position of the universe. And that position is, no matter what happens, no matter what it looks like to the eyes, we understand and know what really is transpiring and what we need to continue to put in the macro. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron and Barbara. That right there cleared a lot up.
Thank you for the question, Charles. Thank you, got us helped get us started on the right track here. Again, First Samuel, and I say Samuel is us. I say Saul is us, and this is trying to gain bearing here. We don't. The African never thinks of himself as a king, but you are the king of your kingdom. And I'm talking masculine and femininity here. or you are the master of your domain, your this body, this world that we create. And each and every one of us, uh, if you really think about it, have people that look up to us, who are influenced by the kingdom that you have created. So this is talking to you. This is talking to us, each and every one of us. So as we unfold this thing and look at it, that was part of the fascination.
Ron, you
I wanna
still
look
there?
at- Yes, sir. You can't hear me?
One in and
You,
out.
you went in and out.
I'm sorry. That just start?
No, it just started when you was talking before I asked the question, and now
It's been fading in and out the whole time, but that was the longer pause just now.
Okay. I tell you what then, somebody want to fill in for just a second. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change rooms, and that seems to work sometimes. Hold on, just bear with me. Okay, hopefully this will be better.
Ron, in that process,
Yes,
when you were talking, did God point Solomon to be king of the people, appointed him to be king?
Good point, Charles. We went back and looked at that. God, it does say that God appointed him king, but you are the God that appointed him king. You are the God that appoints you king. Nobody makes Charles' world for you but you. You with me? Haven't you ever seen a situation where you have two siblings or a cousin or somebody you grew up with, was close with, and you say to yourself, "Now, he didn't grow up like that. Why does he act like that?" He has a right to choose his own kingdom. He has a right to make his own decisions. Are you with me? So the
Yes,
God,
yes.
as we looked at that, the God gave them what they asked for. And I think Barbara pointed out to them, they got more than they bargained for. But it was what they thought they wanted. Everything that they thought they wanted. So again, I love the word balance because of what it points out. And without balance, there is no creation. There is no creativity. Without balance, you don't see or hear wisdom. There is no enlightenment. So we stay in a constant state of moving Ron out of the way. And that is why you hear us talk about staying in the present. Staying in the present. When you're in the past or you're thinking about something in the future you need to do, the mind is engaged, and that is not meditation. That is not prayer. So without that, without the balance of it, then we become the Saul. We become the king that looks at it and says, "Look at what I've done. Look at all the stuff I have. Look at the position that I'm in." It takes us out of balance. It takes us further out of balance. So yeah, the God that set him up is you, Charles. The God that set me up is Ron. The Elohim that I. Hello?
No, I thought I was on mute. I'm on my way, but I thought I was on mute. Go ahead.
So Charles, did that help? Does anybody else have any comments or see that differently?
Ron, I have
I
a
would
comment.
speak
This is it. I'm sorry, Pastor. I yield.
No, I want to speak to the mind. Yours about the mind. Ever?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I yield.
The mind is the enemy of balance, the enemy of self-discovery. The mind embraces doubt above everything else. The soul is the seat of self-discovery. And when the mind embraces doubt, it is impossible to be balanced because you don't think you're good enough. You don't think that you have been chosen or been created the way that you've been taught you're created in terms of the image of Elohim. The mind doubts everything about you or makes you doubt everything about yourself. And that is why it's so imperative that we live, as you said, in the present, because living in the present means that we're processing from the seat of our soul, which is the place where we find self-discovery, where we find that we are indeed divine. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments, y'all, on what Pastor just said? Evelyn, before you go, Charles, did that help you? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it answered my question. Real good.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Evelyn.
Okay. Got to be something in us letting us know that we are kings and queens, because if you think about it, we're the only people who wear a lot of chains. We wear the big earrings. We wear external king and queen jewelry. If you look at our hair, there's something in us that lets us know, and I don't know if people understand why Africans do what they do, but there's something in us that lets us know that we are of royalty. We are kings and queens. So, and I always wonder why we're the ones who always have to shine, wear the shiny jewelry or whatever. And it's not expensive. Some is not expensive. But the fact that we do that, we're the only culture, if I'm not mistaken, that do that. So I believe that there's something in us that lets us know we are kings and queens, but we do express it externally with shiny things. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I couldn't agree more. We are different, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I love our people. We are very expressive. We as you said, dress different. And I'm glad. What I'm really proud of, and I hope we're not getting off the lesson too much here. We're not getting off the lesson at all. What I really like, that over my lifetime, I've seen the way African women wear their hair. That we don't have to put a comb in our hair, straighten it to look good, or buy all this and that to look like everybody else. Be natural, be who you are, and be comfortable with it. And I love that. I love seeing it. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. As sometimes we do things a little inappropriate. There are some that just for attention, but for the most part, it's genuine. It's people being authentic and being themselves, and I love that. I love seeing that.
I read an article yesterday. That article said that females who use permanent black dye in their hair are more susceptible to breast cancer. 60% of African females who use permanent dyes are more susceptible to breast cancer, and 8% of white women. I thought that was a very, very interesting article. And when you mentioned about authenticity and being natural, came back to my mind. I do think that we do, as Evan said, in the depth of our soul, know who we are. And sometimes our expression that can be a bit gaudy and without the right reason or the right energy attached to them, rather than simply being royalty itself. And that's simply the reason for that is because, again, we simply don't know who we are. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I want to read something from chapter 10 of 1 Samuel, y'all, and I want to compare it to something that we went over yesterday, or whatever day it was, Saturday. Okay. The first part of chapter 10 says, Samuel took the flask of oil and poured it on the head of and kissed him and said, has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance? When you go up from me today, then you will find 2 men close to Rachel's tomb in the territory of Benjamin at Zelzach. And they will say to you, the donkeys which you are looking for have been found. Now behold, your father has ceased to be concerned about the donkey and is anxious for you, saying, what shall I do about my son? Then you will go on further from there, and you will come as far as the oak of Tabar. And there are 3 men going up to God at Bethel will meet you, one carrying 3 kids, another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a jug of wine. And they will greet you and give you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from your hand. Afterwards, you will come to the hill of the God where the Philistines' garrison is. And there shall be, as soon as you come to the city, you will meet a group of prophets. Let's hold up right there for a minute. This is the second journey that he has taken. The first journey involved him going looking for his father's female donkeys. We talked about the female donkeys. In that first journey, Saul goes to familiar places. He goes to places that are close, near his home, where the Benjamites live, and he searches for these female donkeys. Now, we talked about the docileness of the female donkeys as opposed to the stubbornness of a male donkey. This is an internal thing. What is taking place here is Saul is looking inside of himself. This is a journey to see who he is. This is the journey to see who he is not. So he's seeing all this familiarity, the places inside of him that he has his comfort. But he does not see balance. And that is why he does not see the donkeys. There is no balance there. So he journeys on. The servant talks to him because he's ready to turn around. He reaches a point of this journey that he's really ready to give up and go back. And the servant, again, that spiritual part of him speaks to him and says, no. There's a seer up here that we need to go and see. And he's going to tell you about your journey. He's going to tell you about your journey. So they go to see the seer, and we talked about the meal. He has a meal, and Samuel now is sending him on another journey. And that is the one I just read. Now, this journey is different than the first journey because he's going to a place that he is not yet familiar with. And again, all of this is internal. He has been anointed to be ruler. So he understands that part. And Pastor went over the inheritance part of this Saturday. Okay. Then he says, you will go from me today, and you will find 2 men close to Rachel's tomb. So here, part of this journey involves the same path that the patriarchs took. Why is that important? Because what the patriarchs represent, the Abraham in you represents the journey of truth. I am Abraham. You are Abraham. Every one of us take this trick. Every one of us takes this journey to find out who we are. Every one of us come face to face with ourselves and see that we are one with the Creator. And when it sends him on further, he lets them know that the donkeys have been found. The donkeys have been found, but he says, your father is concerned with you now. But you notice he didn't send him to his father. He sent him on up the hill. In other words, he is ascending. He is ascending. This is him growing more in tune with his spiritual self. He's in a place that is foreign to him, a place that is not comfortable to him. A place that each and every one of us are in right now at times and have been. What am I talking about? We talk about our struggles of seeing that we're Elohim. We talk about our struggle when we talked about being equally yoked. We talk about taking this journey of Abraham. Every step of the way, we see something new about ourselves. Remember when we had the discussion of what it means to be returned to beginning. When we had the discussion, when we talked about what it means to take a full look at 7 and what that reflection looks like. When we talked about the stars lining up, all those things were part of us ascending, something new. So it says, and you will go further from there, and you will come as far as the oak of Tabar. This oak talking about Tabar is a grove of trees up in the mountains, and it means to break something or to crash something. It means to inspect something or an opportunity to wait or to tarry. So in other words, you stop and you look at yourself. You stop and you see who you are, and you recognize there's something different going on here. I'm seeing something different about me. I'm not who I thought I was. I take that back. Not who I thought. I'm not the person now that I have longed to be. This is not who I built myself up to be. And then Tabar talks about you start desiring something else. You show a willingness to change. You show a willingness to be open. You see the journey changing? So you go in and you go further, and I don't know all the 3 goats or the 3 kids this is talking about the 3 kids are talking about as the young goats run, and you have to keep up with them. They run, and you have to set borders for them. You have to show them the way sort of to speak. So what it is saying here is it means to cut off or to set borders as a river cuts through a stream, something new, but it sets a new border. So you in this journey, you're seeing new territories. You're seeing who you are, and you're approaching it from a cautious position, but just like a river that steady flows. You're steady cutting through the soil and cutting new ground. So you're moving. All of this is internal. And this is the making of the king. This is the making of each and every one of us. The only thing I got out of the 3 loaves of bread, the bread represents a measurement. It represents a weight. I don't know what else to say about that part, but I just thought this was fascinating to look at this different journey that he's on. Anyway, questions or comments?
Those 3 loaves of bread speak to divine sustenance.
Okay. He said he would give you 2 of them, and that was the part that kind of had me stuck. I didn't know something there that I did, but yeah.
Would that not be sharing who you are or what you see about yourself?
Yeah. Say it again, Pastor.
Would that not be sharing who you are with someone else?
Okay.
Or sharing with them who you see yourself to be, so that they have opportunities to do the same?
And that's what I got from the 3 kids. You, as being a king, the cutting new ground shows you that this is not just for you. This journey that you are on is not just for you. Not to say that you have full understanding of it, but it is an opportunity for you to desire to continue on the journey of what you see, this internal thing that what you see.
There's one thing I do believe. The one thing you know, once you begin to see who you are, the one thing above everything that I do believe you must realize, that is not just for you. It comes with an obligation that cannot be avoided. And that obligation is to share who you are, not necessarily by beating people over the head, but how you interact with people and how you respond to different circumstances and situations. Thank you.
Hey, Ron, this is Charles again. When you were talking about the bread, you remember when the 12 was around the table with Jesus, and Jesus said, "This is my body, I share with you the bread." So he was sharing himself with his disciples. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I talked about.
Yeah. And even I even thought about the sacrifice itself. You got he encounters a goat, 3 kids, the bread and the wine. So it's really describing an offering there.
Question.
Yes.
Ron, when you said he would give him 2 of them, what came to my mind was like 2 witnesses. So like the bread and the wine are witnesses in terms of, because bread can represent the word, as Pastor said, sustenance, but as the word, and then wine also represents spirit. So the two witnesses of the word and the spirit. Anyway, that's what came to my mind.
I like that, and you reminded me of something. I'm flipping through my notes. When you look up the word two, and I didn't write down the Hebrew, the letters, strong numbers for. The interesting thing, I never seen this with, it had two different words. The spelling of SHTAYIM is feminine. And then you have SHNAYIM is masculine. So two is spelled two different ways. One is feminine and one is masculine. It means to divide. It means to bring together. It means to oppose. It means to discern. It, of course, means bet. And bet is talking about the house, or what is inside the house, or the two that come together that make their household, and the roles that they play. So all of that supports what we're saying. At least I hope it does. Any questions, y'all, about that? Now, there's something in this that really gets real interesting to me. Let's see. I'm gonna skip some stuff because I want you to see this. Chapter 10, verse 7 says, let me go to verse 6. Then the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you mightily, and you shall prophesy with them and be changed into another man. And it shall be, when these signs come to you, do for yourself what the occasion requires. God is with you. And you shall go down before me in Gilgal, and behold, I will come down to you to offer burnt offering and sacrifice peace offering. You shall wait 7 days until I come to you and show you what to do. Now this is Samuel talking to Saul. Okay. Now here, look at what happens. I'm in verse 11. I'm at verse 11. Chapter 11, excuse me. Tell you what, I got up and left my notes there. Okay. It says, and Nahash the Amorite came up and besieged Jabesh, and all the men of Jabesh said to Nahash, make a covenant with us, and we will serve you. But Nahash the Amorite said to them, I will make it with you on this condition, that I will gouge out your right eye of every one of you. Thus I will make it a reproach on all Israel. So they're about to go into battle here. What is taking place here? And here's verse 3 says, and the elders of Jabesh said to him, let us alone for 7 days, that we may send messenger throughout the territory of Israel. then if there be no one to deliver us, we will come out to you. There is the 7 again. There is the 7 again. We keep talking about 7. 7 and 3 and 2 keeps popping up in these verses. So what is taking place here? Nahash, the root of it talks about a serpent. It talks about a viper. Again, this is internal. This is internal. The Amorite came up to Nahash, the Amorite, Ammonite. Who are the Ammonites? Think about this. When Lot separated from Abraham, and Lot and his daughters were fleeing, and they hid in the cave, and Lot's daughters got him intoxicated, and they slept with their father. One of the offsprings that came from the youngest daughters was Ammon. So, what am I saying? This is internal. Some of our biggest problems, some of our biggest obstacles that we have to get over are problems that's been with us for a long time. Things that we're familiar with, things we are comfortable with, things that are a part of us. And you have to make the decision, do I part with this, or how do I part with this? Or is this valuable to me? I could not find anything that talked much about the right eye. I think what it is saying is the right eye is I think what it is saying is, if you can think about the pineal gland, this is the part that you see your soul. This is the innermost part of you. This is the part that allows you to be spiritual. This is the authority by which you see God. So if I take away your right eye, you will be religious the rest of your life. If you find value, don't look at this as a violent type of thing. If you find value, if you find pleasure, if you find comfort in this thing, this part of you that's been with you, that you've been familiar with all of your life, if you find value in that, you give up your right eye. You give up your right to see the Creator. You give up your right to be spiritual. And what did it say? It will be a reproach on all of Israel. On all of Israel. So this is pretty serious. And again, this is coming to us, coming to you after we've had these journeys. We see who we are. We've had, can I ask you to mute your phones, please? We're starting to have elevated thoughts, and we're having a desire to grow into a spiritual beings that we are, and then this pops up. And then this comes to you. Why the 7 days though? Let us alone for 7 days. And we will send messages throughout the territory of Israel, and that they will see if one will deliver us. Again, this is internal. I search myself. I search the greater part of me. It is a search to understand, because I told you when they were ascending, when he was ascending on part of that journey to go to Bethel, part of that meant to desire, to have a strong desire. So where is that desire now? It's being challenged. So the 7 days is my reflection. I'm reflecting on everything that the Creator has done for me. I'm reflecting on the stuff that happened that brought me to Spartanburg from Aiken, the things in my life. I'm reflecting on the fact when I first came to Greater New Faith. I'm reflecting on the things that I started learning. I'm reflecting on all the lessons we've had and the things I've struggled with. I see the battles. I see how far I've come. I see the prize now. I see that this thing is not religious, because religion says, Ron, salvation is for you. But I see that and understand that Ron represents all of mankind. I see what harmony looks like.
Ron,
Yes, sir.
hello? When
Hello?
it talks about the right eye, take the right eye, and it will be a patient. And if you what is the word I'm looking for? If you walk away from the obligation, it's not the word, but that's what I'm trying to say. If you turn your back on the obligation, it's a reproach to all of those who are searching for God. Israel is talking about those who are in search of God, or the people of God. That reproach means that you has an effect on everyone who is seeking after the Creator. And if that's a reproach to Israel, what it's saying is, it's not about serving a man as much as it is about serving a principle or principles that men have put forward. And when you embrace those principles, you are serving the writer of those principles. And you are no longer are in excuse me, you're no longer in pursuit of understanding the essence of who you are. You're simply in pursuit of making sure that you adhere to those principles that you've sworn to follow. I'm done.
Thank you. And I think this ties into what you said, because you reminded me of something. Ammon, the Ammonite, mean the root of it comes to mean a shadow or darkness, to follow a shadow or darkness. So yeah. I think that ties in really what you just said. I hope it's making sense, y'all. What do you think? Anybody?
I'm imagining, you know.
Okay.
Ron, you gotta go.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. Anyone? Any y'all?
Is this not what we face today? We've come to this knowledge. We've taken this journey, and we understand who we are. But there are things that come to our minds that tease us, quote unquote, my word, that would take us off track. Those shadowy things that, and when you talk about shadow, I think about things that are done in the dark, which will be exposed. Those things tempt us. But the question is, are we going to stay focused on what we know, or are we going to allow those temptations and distractions to overtake us through our minds? And so it's the same kind of thing that we deal with now. We've taken a journey, and we know this. So the temptations are the same. What we do with them and how we let them just go through our minds without attaching ourselves to them and giving them life is the issue.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is talking to us right here, right now. We're bringing life to these words. Yeah. Hey, hold on a minute. I kind of lost my space. Okay. There was some part of this I wanted to. Okay. No, that's not it. And they said to the messenger who have come, listen, tomorrow by this time. I'm trying to find the place where Saul makes the sacrifice. Because he gets by this battle. The Amorites he defeat. And then the Philistines come. Okay. Okay. Look at chapter 13. He's about to. The funny thing about this is when you read it, it looks like Saul was just a king for a little while. It looks like when Samuel tells him to go down to Gilgal and wait there for him. This shows you how spiritual this is. But if you look at the start of chapter 13, it lets you know that Saul was king for 32 years. For 32 years. And I meant to look that number up, and I got busy looking up some of the other stuff and forgot about it. Now, but I'm gonna start in chapter 13, verse 6, and I'm just trying to tie this all together, okay? When the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, or the people were hard pressed, then the people hid themselves in caves. Now, this is Saul's army, in thickets, in cliffs, in cellars, and in pits. Also, some of the Hebrews crossed the Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead. But as for Saul, he was still in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. Now he waited 7 days according to the appointed time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. So Saul said, "Bring me the burnt offering and the peace offering." And he offered the burnt offering. And it came about as soon as he finished offering the burnt offering that, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him and to greet him. What just took place? What just took place here?
Samuel jumped the gun. Saul jumped the gun. He did not wait. He did things on his own rather than following the internal truth of what he should do. He allowed doubt to come in to some extent as well. And he figured, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it on my own. If Samuel represented that truth from the perspective of the universe, and Saul decided, well, I've tarried, but obviously he didn't tarry long enough. Didn't meditate long enough. He didn't allow enough time for the universe to do what it does. So he jumped the gun, in other words.
Yeah, the men fleeing, we know what that feels like. We know what fear feels like. We know what your thoughts jumping all around and being uncontrolled feels like. The Philistine.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought that was a time to break in. I apologize. This is Mary. What came to mind is, like I do sometime, and I don't know about other people, it's like, well, what he did, I can do that. Why have to wait on him? So like Barbara said, he jumped the gun. He thought that he could do it and everything would be okay, but that was not his place. That's what I see, just saying, no big deal, I can do this. I'm just going to slice this bull up and do what I need to do. That's what I saw. That's all.
Yeah, and you're both right. Again, this is talking about us. This is talking about who and what we are. What I was going to say is the Philistines represent the wallowing or the rolling in ashes or sand. In other words, they are a constant reminder of death, mourning. Something has just died. So if you notice, they are constantly in battle with the Philistines. This is a thorn in their side. This is a thorn in our minds. That thing that is comfortable to you, that annoys the devil out of you, but it is something that is comfortable. You're used to it, and so but every now and then it overtakes us. It might be poverty. It might be the fact that half the time we don't know how we're going to pay our bills. It might be the fact that I'm having marital problems. I'm so used to this man, I'm so used to this woman, but is this the end this time? It's something we're familiar with. It might be that old job you've been on forever. This might be agitation of your mind. But what is being described here is he fails to look at it spiritually. Again, the 7 days pop up. 7 days is not necessarily talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 7 days is talking about periods of enlightenment, spiritual periods of enlightenment. 7 days is talking about I reflect and I know the experiences that I've had with the Creator that takes away my fear and my doubt. So when you look at these offerings, he does the burnt offering. He didn't get a chance to do the peace offering. The burnt offering means to ascend, to go up. The burnt offering was when whatever you were offering, it burned completely up. The whole thing had to burn. You didn't cut it into pieces. You burnt the whole thing. The burnt offering is symbolic of spiritually, I'm all in. I'm all in. The peace offering. The peace offering is this. The peace offering talks about free will, and it talks about I'm doing this voluntarily. And again, I give all of me. And that is the peace. I'm not doing this for any other reason, or another part, Thanksgiving. I do it with Thanksgiving. I do it, and it's the peace offering. Hopefully, we have all the time. Have you ever been driving in your car at work or anywhere, and you just want to praise God? You just something in you just hits you, and you give your all, and it feels so good that you may even say, "Oh, I wish I could stay here. I wish I could stay in this place, this space right here." That's the peace offering. So he without the meditations, without the internal going, he allowed the circumstances to overtake him, and he does this just as a ritual, as Barb said. There is no spirituality in it. He's not giving of himself. So as we've said, Saul and Samuel are the same person. All of this is part of the persona of who you are. But the higher self does not give this offering. And that is why Samuel doesn't show up. I wait 7 days, but it has nothing to do with God. It has everything to do with Ron. I wait 7 days, but it's not periods of enlightenment. It is mere days. And it has nothing to do with God. I give the offering because I know how, but I do not stop to think that this is not about giving an offering. It's about giving me. I am the offering. As Pastor said, the journey shows you that you're not in this alone, and it's not all about you. So this is his demise because he gets prideful. This is the rebellion that we talked about, the disobedience. All of this takes place. The pride. He's been doing this for 32 years. He's gotten to a place of being prideful. And again, I did not look it up. The 32 is not 32 as in years we are thinking, but it's any place. I'm assuming that we reach a place where we become comfortable and we become prideful and put ourselves ahead of Elohim. Putting myself ahead of Elohim is also putting myself ahead of you. So, any questions, y'all? That's pretty much what I wanted to look at in these verses, and that's sort of as far as I got. But it's my hope that we see ourselves in these verses as we have tried to lay it out, every step, at least every step of it that we took a look at. And again, there are portions of it that we skip. We're trying to look at it conceptually, and I don't mind telling you, as always, I don't necessarily see all of it, but we talk about what we do see.
Hey, Ron, this is Charles again.
Yes,
I
sir.
like because I like that what you had been saying when you read this. I looked at it like you've been doing it for so long, and in your mind you think you're right, and not only that, it puts you in a position that I've been knowing God this long. I know what He wants. You understand what I'm saying? I'm done.
Yes, sir. Charles, you just hit the nail on the head when you said in your mind. If you're in the present and speaking from your soul, the mind is not engaged. But you're exactly right. That's what gets us in trouble. Trying to see higher things, trying to commune with God through our minds. And when we do that, the things we do become a ritual.
And you won't see the spiritual thing that God is trying to show you in yourself.
No, you will not. Guys, I hope this made sense. That's pretty much all I got with it. Any questions or comments? Again, I hope we could see ourselves in this. Okay. Well, if there are questions or comments, please write them down or text me or whatever, and we'll speak on them next time we're together.
Hey, Ron, before you go, when I'm always saying God, is that the right way of saying it, or you say Elohim, or you say Yahweh?
Charles, to me, whatever you're comfortable with, and the reason why I say this is I know from your heart you're not being disrespectful or dishonoring God in any way. So whatever is comfortable, whatever is comfortable for you to say. I catch myself saying the Creator a lot, but
okay.
And the reason why I think I do that is when it was an eye opener to me, the word Abum, father, mother, seed and womb, and I try to be cognizant of that a lot more when I do my meditations, But whatever you're comfortable with. To me, that's the answer, and I think this is my opinion. I think we're at the place that we have a desire, and whatever we're not on the right path with, the Creator will show us. So, as I guess it goes back to something Nick said many years ago. Just set your intent and let it be. Your intent is to be righteous. Your intentions are for harmony. So it's okay.
Thank you, man, because I thought I was doing something wrong. I feel like, he's so much to everybody. And I thought I was saying something that I need to say something that be more than what just God.
No, I think you're fine. Does anybody else have any feelings on that? Comments? Okay. Well, like I said, guys, I hope everybody got a thought from this. I hope it all made sense. And thank you. I hope you have a great week and look forward to Saturday morning. Good night.
Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Great job,
everyone.
Ron.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.